We all know that defense wins championships, man. At the end of the day, that is the bottom line. You can have a subpar offense, but if your defense can stop the other team and your offense can do just enough, you can win championships. Now, if it's the other way around and your offense has to carry the team, it is very difficult to win championships. And the Detroit Lions had to find that out the hard way last year, as they had the 27th ranked passing defense in the National Football League by the end of the season. Now, we were top 3 against the run. You put all those things together, and I don't know where our overall, I think we were ranked in the second, third of the league, I believe we were, but don't quote me on that. Somebody put it in the comment section below where the Detroit Lions total defense ranked. I don't even know how they come up with total defense, if they bring everything together, sacks and all that stuff, or is it just points per game? But what I decided to do is we're going to make this thing a series, and we're going to release this video on Wednesdays, the new league week. As we go into week 2, we're going to release the Lions defense through. Okay. So you guys know that I have been literally screaming, both literally and figuratively, about defense since this channel has been created. And I think while the defense has improved, no doubt, over the course of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' tenure, it still has, in my opinion, going into this year, quite a long ways to go. And that will be the thing that decides whether or not we can win the Super Bowl, because like I said, when it comes down to it, I truly still believe that defense does indeed win championships. With that being said, got the notepad again. I figured it would be the best way. Usually I bring in the ESPN stats, but it's hard to keep up, and they don't give you a number, which would be great if ESPN gave you a number based off whatever filter you chose. So if you chose sacks or passing or something like that, then it would be great if it gave you a number. So I have to usually count these out. I could be off by a few, 1 or 2, so just bear with me. But here is what the Detroit Lions defense looked like after week 1, okay? So we're going to start with total yards. Total yards, the Detroit Lions were ranked 25th. Now, there are some, in my opinion, this is week 1, and we can't put a ton of stock into week 1, because week 1 have bad teams seeming like they're good and good teams winding up being bad, right? So as the season progressed, so you can't really base a lot off week 1. To be honest with you, I don't think we'll have a real good grasp until at least next month. So when the Lions come back from their bye week, because even the bye week will distort things. So this is just a way for us to keep track. And I thought it would be something interesting to do, since I've been literally screaming about defense for 4 years, why don't we keep track of it? So again, every Wednesday, and take these numbers with a grain of salt. I'm not really tripping. It's one game. It's one. So you have nothing prior to base it on. So again, in total yards, the Detroit Lions ranked 25th in the league. In passing yards allowed, the Detroit Lions ranked 31. Now, again, they were going up against Matthew Stafford, one of the premier quarterbacks in the National Football League, even at the age of 36. And you have other teams going up against Caleb Williams, who had 64 passing yards. So there's a huge discrepancy there, again, just to kind of keep track. And as we go, see if it's getting better or worse. All right. The run, the Lions are 8th against the run in yards allowed. In points per game, and this is all defense. We could care less about the offense. I think, like I said, outside of Josh Reynolds, the offense didn't change much. Jonah Jackson and Josh Reynolds. That's pretty much the only difference on the offensive side of the ball. They were 8th against the run. Points per game, the Lions ranked 12th, meaning they were 12th best in the league in points per game, allowing the LA Rams to score 20. And sometimes this can be a point off. It could be like a 10th of a point off. You could have number 10 could be 20 and number 11 could be 20.1. So sometimes it's that much of a small margin. In, what is this one? Turnover differential. The Lions are actually ranked 15th. They had 1 takeaway and 1 giveaway. I want to say The highest in the league, the worst is +3, and I think the best is -3. I didn't remember whose teams that those were. And in sacks, ranks in sacks, the Detroit Lions are currently ranked at 17 with 2 on the season. Aiden Hutchinson has 1, Marcus Davenport has half, and Levi Onwuzurike has half as well. So just to go over it again, total yards, the Lions are ranked 25th. Passing yards, they're second to last at 31. They are 8th against the run. They are 12th in points per game. They are 15th in turnover differential, and they are 17th in sacks. So right now, if we look at this, right after game 1, again, just kind of a running tally, we're going to keep track of this stuff. They are in the top half of the league against the run in points per game, and they are okay. Let's look at it like this. In the top third of the top third of the league, the Lions are 8th against the run, and they are also, man, that's it. So they're only top third against the run, which is fitting because that's where they were last year. They were actually higher than that, but they were in the top third. They are in the top half of in points per game and turnover differential. All right. They are in the second third. If you break the league down to thirds and halves, they are in this. I know it can be confusing. They are in the second third of the league. They are in sacks. Okay. In the bottom half of the league, they are in sacks. So you follow what I'm saying? I know I'm making it confusing, but that's kind of what I do. So they are in let's look at it in the positive light. So let's look at these in a positive light. In a positive light, in sacks, instead of the bottom half, they are in the second third of the league. Touchdowns, they are in the first half of the league. In points per game, they are in the first half of the league. In points in run, they are in the first third of the league, the best third. Now, in total yards, they are ranked in the bottom third of the league. And in passing yards allowed, they are ranked second to last. Again, this is the first game. Terrion Arnold out there, rookie growing pains, right? You're going up against Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, who was doing very well before he went down. So you got a guy like Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp had 10 receptions or something like that on 21 targets for over 100 yards. Matthew Stafford threw the ball 49 times, one shy of 50. So you're going to have discrepancies like that. But let me tell you this, when it's all said and done, that stuff doesn't matter. You feel what I'm saying? So like the discrepancies, because it's Matthew Stafford threw the ball 49 times, or it's the first game of the season. What matters is, even in the first game of the season, the Detroit Lions allowed 304 passing yards, I believe it was, to Matthew Stafford, right? Which puts them second to last in the NFL. Okay. Now, we talked about this, and this is why I get so excited, right? I get so excited. We talked about pressures. The Detroit Lions had 27 total pressures. Aiden had 11. Davenport had 6. Levi had 5. And there were 5 that came from other teams. I saw an article about how even Dan Campbell was like, yo, we got mad pressure on Matthew. Saw an article from Pride of Detroit about why sacks kind of like if it wasn't for a pressure that forced Matthew Stafford to throw a quick pass, it would have been a completion. All that stuff is true. But at the same time, with all of that, the Detroit Lions are second to last in passing yards allowed. So let that sink in. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that they went against Matthew Stafford. We know what he can do, which is a very true statement. But the bottom line is, heading into week 2, the Detroit Lions are second worst in the league against the pass. That's with 27 pressures. You see what I'm saying? So the numbers don't lie. And the numbers say that right now we're bad. But then you go up against a guy like, and again, there's a lot of factors that go into this. But at the end of the day, those who you go up against, it's not going to matter on the stat sheet necessarily. They're not going to be like, well, the Lions played super bad quarterbacks and those super bad teams. It's going to go on whatever the stats are, whatever you allow to happen. If you play a super bad team, you should dominate that super bad team. And if you play a good team, if you're a good defense, you should at least put up some resistance. So even though Matthew Stafford was carving them, and I saw this, I don't know how true this was. Somebody said, I think it was an article. I've read so much stuff today. It's overwhelming that Matthew was getting rid of the ball. It could have been the same article I referenced earlier, that he was getting the ball out in 2.5 seconds. The average time quarterbacks have to throw is 2.4 seconds. So he actually was taking longer according to what I read. Now, again, I can't remember where that came from, but I know Matthew Stafford was getting rid of the ball very quickly. Dan Campbell said it. You watch it, it was 3-step drop. It was very few 7-step drops, and he got hit a couple of times, right? So all we're going to do is go by this. This is all we're doing. We're just going to follow the numbers because numbers don't lie. They really don't. Sometimes they can be, like in this instance, it's week 1. Sometimes they can be kind of unbalanced a little bit, but at the end of the day, they do not lie. Going into the San Francisco 49ers game, the NFC title game, the Lions were horrendous against the pass. We were horrendous in getting to the quarterback, not pressuring the quarterback. That is not getting to the quarterback. Getting to the quarterback is getting to the quarterback, putting hands on them. All right. If he gets the ball off, but you knock him down, that's getting to the quarterback. Right? If you get to them, if you disrupt their throw, that's getting to the quarterback. I believe that a pressure is coming in the vicinity of the quarterback. I believe I'm not sure. I heard this from somewhere else that a pressure is when you get in the vicinity of the quarterback. But you guys can put it in the comments below, and maybe I'll make that the pinned comment. Right? So, but the numbers say that this is where the Detroit Lions are after week 1. Now, I don't think we can judge a lot from week 1. The Detroit Lions had the worst defense in the league, historically bad in 2022 after 7 games. They wind up having one of the best defenses down the stretch in the latter half of the season. And doing so, think about the correlation here. You're 1-6. You have not only the worst defense in the NFL, but the historically, I'm talking about trending worst of all time in the Super Bowl era, right? Then you go 8-2, and what do you know it? You have one of the best defenses in the league down the stretch. A good defense equates to winning, but you need an offense to really take you over the top. That's why I said if the Detroit Lions had a top 10 defense, we win the Super Bowl. Look at the perfect example is the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Lamar Jackson aside, okay, the Baltimore Ravens had overall, I believe it was the best defense. You had the Cleveland Browns was good against this, or maybe it was the Cleveland Browns that had the best overall defense. But they had a good defense, meaning the Baltimore Ravens, and they had the best record in the league. But when it counted, their offense really couldn't keep up, right? The Detroit Lions have a superpower, and we saw what Jamison Williams can do. And if we get that 5th wide receiver, the Tim Patrick or whoever it is, or whether he's not on the team right now, and he steps up and can help out as well, we could have one of the best offenses in the league like we did last year. Because believe it or not, our offense, did I look on offense? Just to be, let me see. Offense in total yard. We're going to look at points per game. I just want to throw this out here. The Detroit Lions in points per game are currently, points per game. The New Orleans Saints currently have the best offense in points per game. The Detroit Lions are somewhere in the top half of the league. I don't want to count right now, just spitball and ballparking based on what I see. I'm going to say it looks like they could be somewhere between 12 and 15, right? So, and scoring 20 points. If we look at total yards per game, the Detroit Lions seem to be about top 10 in yards per game, right at 10. Right, that's a far cry from where we were last year. But again, these guys didn't play during the preseason. Got to get the kinks out. Got to shake off the rust. So again, I'm not judging the Detroit Lions defense based off this one game. I'm simply going by what the numbers are telling me. And the numbers are telling me what I just said earlier. The Detroit Lions are 25th in total yards, 31 against the pass, 8 against the run, 12th in points per game on defense, 15 turnover differential, and 17th in sacks. Okay, I expect that number to go up. I would love to see the top third in every category. That means that to be top third, you need to be in the top 10. no more than 11. If they could be 11 across the board, that'd be fantastic. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Not going to hit you with the green gridiron stuff today, but you guys know the drill. Green gridiron, link in the description. They got a promo going on about, you know, the more you spend, the more you save. And you can stack that with Lions Syndicate 24 or LS24 to get you an additional percentage off. And I haven't heard that we've sold any of the pre-made lions. If you guys want a lion, you have today to add, if you buy one of the 3D lions behind me, any size, the size, one of the 4 sizes, you can use my promo code and get an additional $15 off your purchase. But that's only going to go through Tuesday or Wednesday, which is today. That will be in tomorrow. When the Lions win, we'll have that, you know, that additional $15 off. So you guys are awesome. This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.